Well, when I've asked people why they don't belong to a political party in Australia, I usually receive two answers. Either they don't care or they consider it to be too expensive. So have Australians as
ask them this, Alexander. Ask them this next time. Say, would you join if you got an equal say in who the leader was?
Well, I was going to say, have Australians as a species taken a different approach to politics to the rest of the world? Because it might just be that we don't care about that sort of thing. Or is this a conservative problem, or does the Labor Party and the Greens have a problem with membership bases?
My off the cuff answer is that the unions would have a say, and so they'd probably inflate their numbers by including people who are in the unions to some extent. But look, going back to the Libs, once you have a say, you have a stake in it. And right now, you work hard as a member of a local thing, and then Mr. Morrison and Mr. Hawke, they don't allow you to pick your local member. They deliberately don't show up to meetings so that they can put somebody in to run that you don't want to support. And why would you even go and hand out leaflets on election day? They're gaming the system. They are not allowing the people who work hard and to have an actual say. Every single pre-election period, the pre-selection should be thrown open. And if you're in, I don't know, I just picked this at random. Let's say you're in Julian Leeser's constituency, and you think, I don't want him to be my elected representative because I think his views on the voice are terrible. So you vote him out. Well, the party would hate that right now because they're faction-driven, and the so-called moderates, who are really just the most left-wing imaginable liberal candidates, they are in a dominant position at every level except the national level. And even there, they have a big say. So I think that's what deters people from joining the party. It's right now, it's shambolic.
Well, I can go one better. I actually voted in the polling booth for Matt Keane's electorate. So I actually got to stand there and listen to people who were abusing the Liberal staff, saying, well, they had to take the pamphlet because, as you say, they couldn't vote Labor because it's a Conservative seat, but they hated that they were being forced to vote for someone like Matt Keane. So you're right, he wouldn't survive in an election like that.
Not a chance.
No.
And you know what, Alexander? I think Liberals need to realize this. You should vote Labor sometimes if your candidate is that bad, just to get them out. I preferenced Labor over the Libs after the Turnbull coup, because I thought it would be better if we lose the next election. And in retrospect, I was clearly right. If Turnbull had lost in 2016, every one of the MPs who was involved in the coup would have paid a price. But, as it was, he snuck in by 1 or 2 seats. And sometimes in the long term, you're better off not voting for your side of politics. But, people, it's really hard to get people to see that with a preferential voting system. In first past the post, they would have been wiped out. Well, Keane would lose.
Just one final question quickly as we finish up. This is more of a general question. The public have next to no control over their chosen political leaders, as you've explained. Now, in America, we have this lengthy election lead-in, which lasts for almost 2 years. So there's two different sort of ways of approaching politics. Are the election cycles of the US too long? In other words, can you diminish the process of democracy by turning it into a competition that never properly ends, and so you're always in a state of competing instead of actually governing?
Well, here's my answer. I mean, I grew up, went to law school in Canada, and we're all part of the Westminster world. We inherited the British system, and you just can't get past the fact that it's the most successful system that's ever existed. Right. The second most successful system is the American system. Separation of powers, you divide everything up, everything checks everything else, and people have a real say. Now, the Westminster system works fine when your political elites have a certain sort of commitment to these traditional values. It's not working anymore. You can see it in Britain. You can see it in Australia. You can see it in Canada. Whereas the American system is still working because it gives so much input down at the level of the people who are, registered Republicans or registered Democrats. And so when things go off the rails, and they have gone off the rails in the US, you can fix it. You can get out there and you can vote for the person you want at the state level, and that determines who's the candidate's going to be.